So good afternoon, Mohit. How are you?
Good afternoon, Rakesh. Fine.
Okay. So as you might be knowing, so this is going to be a mock interview, and we'll cover the questions on manual plus automation testing plus DevOps like Jenkins, Dockers, and what is continuous integration, continuous development. So all those questions we'll try to cover in this interview. Okay. So
Wonderful.
let's
It's
start with the
exciting.
first question. Yeah.
Yep, definitely.
Yeah, you were telling something?
No, no, just I'm telling you this is exciting journey. I am learning from you. It's my
No,
thanks for that.
yeah, it's pleasure for us also to have you on our channel. Yeah. So, what is Jenkins?
Like right now in my company, if you are talking about a testing perspective, right now I'm using Jenkins for a staging environment where I'm deploying a backend builds whenever I want. That's why I'm using Jenkins for that.
Mhm. Right. So it is
Correct.
basically self-contained, I would say, open source automation tool that
Right.
will
Automation.
help us to automate all sort of tasks like related to building, testing, and delivering or deploying software. Right. So Jenkins is again an open source continuous CI/CD tool, I would say, that is in
Right.
demand right now in various organizations. Okay. So, have you ever worked with on a particular or dedicated Jenkins job, or have you created any
No,
job with Jenkins?
no, not yet. But yes, here I'm using the deployment kind of purpose. I'm using Jenkins whenever I need. That is that's why I'm using Jenkins for deployment purpose. Whenever I want for backend deployment or front end deployment.
Mm-hmm. Right. Right. Okay. So, so you might get an question in an interview like, "What is Jenkins job or Jenkins project?" So you can answer like, "Jenkins
Hmm.
job is nothing but a fundamental unit of a, I would say, the whole project." And it might consist of, as you are telling, it might consist of something like staging environment or something the software needs to be deployed, or it can also
Correct.
consist of an automation task or automation suite which needs to be deployed. And again, it
Like we
consists.
have pipelines, na, using
Yes, yes,
Jenkins. Like
correct,
we have
right.
pipelines,
So it
which
consists
is
of
helpful for.
various, infrastructure-wise pipelines are there. So it can be a
Correct.
multi-branch project as well. Freestyle project is also there. So there are various options that you will get within Jenkins itself. And
Okay.
from pipelines to, multi-branch project and all these options, all these features are within a subset of Jenkins itself.
Got
Okay.
it. Got it.
Okay. So, do you know what version of Jenkins you are using?
Let me check. I think I think Rakesh, I am audible.
Yes, yes, you are audible. So you are checking on the machine. Okay, that's fine. You
Yeah,
can tell
yeah. I
from a
have my
theoretical
Jenkins.
manner. You can tell. That's fine. Yeah.
Yes, yes, yes.
So you are using 2.266. Okay.
Right,
Okay. So you would have gone into the master node of the Jenkins, and from there you would have got the version number, right?
right.
Right. Now, what if you are not having any access of the master machine, and you are having
I have
access?
staging environment, not
Yeah.
on production. But I have staging environment master.
Okay. Okay. So what if you don't have the access of that environment? That how can you know the version of the Jenkins? Is it possible to know?
Mm, I don't know if there is any another way.
Okay. Okay, no problem. So you can also check the version of Jenkins by loading the top level remote access API path like slash API slash start, whichever it is, the URL is there, and you will
Okay,
get something like in the response x dash Jenkins in as the response
okay,
header. Now that header might contain some version number like 1.404, or you were mentioning about 2.266, something like this. Okay, so from
Mhm.
Jenkins URL itself, you can fetch the version of the uh, you know uh, Jenkins version that is deployed into the project.
Okay, got it. Then that hit will be going through Postman or using terminal.
Yeah, you can use Postman also. It is fine. From Postman also, you can hit that URL request and you will get the response.
Got it. Got it.
Right. Okay. Now, can you tell me something about continuous integration?
CI/CD pipeline, I think, is also is an agile methodology where we are using this thing.
Hmm.
In this, like whenever the developer are doing a coding part, we are starting with the testing parallelly.
Hmm.
We are making our test scenarios, cases, and if we require any automation kind of thing, then we are developing our test cases or scripting using Eclipse or whatever your framework are you using. Then that method is basically known as CI/CD kind integration kind of thing.
Absolutely, absolutely. So you touched the very correct part of the answer. Generally, as you mentioned it very rightly, continuous integration is nothing but a process where a developer's code or changes, they are merged continuously, they are integrated continuously with the main branch, or I would say the main code, and the same will be tested automatically, and the results would be decided whether the change is good to go, or it is affecting or impacting, or has it introduced some of the regression issues like that. Okay.
Right.
So over here, there are multiple scenarios or multiple phases.
Mhm.
So can you tell me
Mhm.
from that line, like developer is checking the code, then what happens in the
Mhm.
Git, then what happens with the automation code, then what happens with the status, the final status of the automation, like in that phase wise.
Okay, let me take a practical example, Rakesh. Like if you are developing a test scripting, right? Let me take a sprint. Like developer want to make some login functionality kind of thing, right? Then developer start a code part, and he is using Git or GitHub for storage purpose, and Git basically manage all the code which is updated, or what kind of deployment is going on GitHub,
Mhm.
that will be managed by the Git basically,
Right.
and developer push the code on GitHub basically first. And as a tester, we take the build in the form of it's we are talking about like in my scenario, I getting a developer build in the form of APK, because
Okay.
mostly I'm testing the Android kind of platform.
Mhm.
And after getting a APK, then I decide that like I have to rather go with the automation or
Mhm.
not. First of all, if I'm going with the automation, first of all I have to create my test cases and test scenarios, and then using a Maven and capability dependencies on POM XML files. Then we integrated our code with text scripting, and if we are only required a UI automator,
Mhm.
then the scripting we are also using our on GitHub and Git repository basically, where our automation code will be stored.
Mhm.
That whole process, we can say that is known as a CI/CD kind of platform in a practical scenario.
Correct, correct. Yeah, this is
Yes.
what generally happens. You know, you'll receive APK or you'll receive some DLL or binaries, libraries, and then you'll
Right.
put them into your environment and you'll do the testing, right? Now,
Right.
in case of in some organizations where this is in the form of a pipeline. So what would happen? The
Okay.
developer would make a change. He will create a pull
Mm-hmm.
request. He will commit his
Mm-hmm.
or her changes, and then the Git or whichever source control management like Git is there, Bitbucket is there, SVN is there. So it will
Mm-hmm.
detect those changes. Okay, and the job on the Jenkins will get triggered, and whatever his or her changes are there, those would be triggered and those would be integrated. And you will also
Right.
receive one email like in the login module, the remember my password or forget password, that functionality has been introduced, checkbox or whatever the changes that has been done. So those all changes, whatever the new things that have been
Right.
developed in the code, those information you'll get via email notification. And then
Right. And it's managed by the Git basically.
correct, correct.
Right.
And then, as you were mentioning, it can be an automated suite or it can be a manual suite. Now, if it is via Jenkins, then your automation suite will run. But if it is your
Definitely.
manual testing, then also you are getting directly the changes into the machine. So you can, get that code, pull that code, and you can start testing on that code. So at least your QA environment is ready. That is. So
Right.
this is a thing. Okay. And at the end, you'll get the status, like whether it is green, pass or fail. Okay.
Right.
Perfect. Great.
And we are basically, I want to also add one thing, like we are getting the result in the form of Excel file also. Whenever we run some kind of automation, then which test cases is passed, which is fail. It's like I am using APM on that scenario. Then
Mm-hmm.
it's also give us a screenshot, like in which scenario it's going failed, in which scenario it's going pass. It's also give us such kind of summary kind of thing
Right.
to us.
Mm-hmm. Correct. Correct. So those all details you will get in the form of Excel. Okay. Great. Okay. Now, are you aware, like, how can we get the code coverage of the automation suite, whichever the test that we have automated? How do you get the code coverage of that?
Code coverage, like
Mhm.
I think the most important thing to coverage all the testing scenarios is your manual testing.
Correct.
First of all, we have to write our test cases and scenarios on Excel sheet first of all, or any file, or whatever you platform or environment you are using for managing manual kind of tests. This
Mhm.
is very important part, first of all, to doing automation and covering all the automation part. This is very important part, I will say.
Thank you. So,
Yep.
yeah. Okay. So this was there. Okay, no problem. Let's move to the next question then. So, what are some of the development practices that you will follow while writing the automated test?
Can you please pardon, like
Yeah,
what you
yeah,
say?
sure, sure. So, what are the various development practices that we should follow while we are writing the automated test? Let's say few of the standards or few of the best practices that you would like to share. Mhm.
Okay, I don't know about this some industry, but I am using. I can tell you about that thing.
Yeah, yeah, sure, sure.
Like
Please share.
first of all, clean code.
Correct.
Like if you want to test some application, and you have to make automation for a settings page, right? Then you can separately make some build application and testing script for the settings. Then you make a separate automation testing tab for a home page or a catalog page, or marketing page, whatever you want to automate. It can be separate to each other.
Mhm.
It's increase our efficiency, like whenever any kind of bug will be happen in a future, then you can replicate easily, and you can debug easily if your file and code files, sorry, scripting file is separately to each other. I can say that, like, I am using right now this thing.
Right, right. So those things are actually good. And if you are taking care of all such things, so you are actually, helping yourself in saving your time in maintenance of automation suite. So in the
Right.
future, you don't have to take out time dedicatedly for, maintaining all this automation suite, because when our tests are limited to hundreds or 200s, then it is fine. But once they
Right.
scale to thousands, then it becomes a nightmare for a tester, right?
Definitely, it's a really nightmare.
So, so have you been into that zone of mending all this test or automated test, or like is it from the scratch you are following all these best practices?
I'm only a first tester on this product which I'm doing this thing. Then myself, like, I'm learning from online platform like you, from RD Automation or some another YouTube channels, and I can implementing on my own product.
Sure, sure. So that's a
Yes.
good thing that you are learning and implementing. That will help you to remember and things for the more period of time. Okay.
Right.
So apart from these practices, I would like to add some of the practices. Like
Hmm?
there is one concept of dry. Don't repeat yourself. So we can avoid the duplication in the code itself, right?
Hmm.
So there are a lot of benefits when you don't repeat the duplicate codes. It help you to it is a kind of a code optimization. Okay, and
Got it.
the benefit of this strategy is that change is isolated to a single location, preventing the bugs and errors. Now, let's say if you have kept your code at various places, then you'll have to change
Hmm.
and all those places, and you'll have to remember also all these things. So,
Got
Is
it.
that. Then another thing is we can also keep the functions, the length of the functions as small, or the methods if we are writing. So those
Okay.
methods, that should not be more than 6 to 7 lines. It is recommended, but sometimes it it becomes 8 to 9, then it is fine. But then it should not become like 20 to 25 methods and all those testing assertions,
It's
including you are dumping all the assertions in one test case itself. So ultimately, it would be a bit difficult to debug also if some errors are coming. So these
got it.
things
I
are
can
there.
also do implementing this soon.
Right, right. And then again, documentation is very important. Let's say if you have created some page, or let's say example of a page object model. If you are implementing
Okay.
some page, so you can add some comments or add some documentation at the top of the page or within the code that this particular scenario will verify so and so things. Now, best
Hmm.
practices sometimes we are automating the customer issues, so it is good to keep a Jira number itself between the two automated tests. Like this particular test
Okay.
will test the customer ticket that was raised by the customer in the first release, then it was fixed. So that automation, the any tester will take up that automation suite, so will remember, okay, fine, this particular test should fail because otherwise that customer will come yelling again for the second time. So these
Got it.
things,
In this,
implementation.
Rakesh, like in this product-based company, like there is no kind of client is not there, but
Right.
yes, we have some product managers which
Mm-hmm.
doing a UAT kind of testing there.
Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
we can implement too.
Great. Okay. Okay. So that is a good thing to know. So you are giving demo to the product managers and business analyst, right? Okay.
Yeah, yeah. Manager.
Product
For
manager. So
this.
how often do you
Yeah.
give demo to them?
Can you please tell me like what do you say?
Yeah. How often do you give demo to the stakeholders or product managers?
Got it, got it. Rakesh, like whenever I got the XDB file, like it's XDB file, like is a design documentation kind of thing. And after making a test cases and scenarios, then I can, whenever I get the build and automate the thing, then I show to my sorry, product manager, like this is my automation which I writing, and it's covered this kind of test cases. If you find any kind of negative thing, then you can tell me, I can also integrate that thing too on that test scripting. Then I think in a week, like we are taking our release live in Thursday, then I have to give demo of that test scripting in Wednesday mostly, whenever my test scripting is completed.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Yeah.
Great. So every Thursday you have to give demo.
Right, right, right. Because Friday have a release.
Okay. Great. Okay. Now let's say you have to select some particular automation tool. So what are the strategic features that you will like to forecast or see? Based on those features, you will be able to take a decision that you will say, no, this automation tool is right for our project, or this automation tool is right for our project. So can you tell me, like, what are the
Okay.
different features that you will look for in an automation tool?
Rakesh, like if you are a beginner in the automation, like if you are want to automate some kind of application, uh, then I would recommend that the candidate basically using APM Studio first of all. First of all, he want to automate UI part of application basically using UI Automator, which is where give some 360 overview like how the automation part is working. It's if we are talking about the scripting, or if we are talking about like what kind of test scenarios we are covering, it's kind of giving you all the 360 knowledge to us. Then I can recommend, like if we are starting our automation, then we are using auto APM Studio first of all.
Mhm,
uh, if you are going for app automation,
mhm.
especially in Android one,
Right.
like if you're using iOS, then you can go for XPath.
Correct. Correct. Okay. So can you tell me on a generic basis what all the features that you will look for in an automation tool on a very generic
Like
basis?
it
Mhm.
okay, it must have a test recording feature.
Okay.
It must have a add-on virtual machines integration on that particular platform. Like if I have to test some Redmi or Xiaomi phone, then we have to integrate a virtual machine with that ID basically.
Mm-hmm.
These two main feature I'm looking, and I also Logcat is very important part, like what kind
Okay.
of APIs will be hitting on particular thing, which give me such kind of scenario I'm using.
Mm-hmm.
And I think these three pillars is very important part, which I'm looking for to selecting some ID.
Mm-hmm. Right, right. So
Yes.
apart from this, we should also look for, some kind of debugging features are there or not. Let's say if some
Right,
whenever,
right.
right,
External library add-on. Right.
correct. Mm-hmm. Then ease of use should be there. It should be easy to use, easy to maintain. Those things should be there. Test environment support. I think you covered up that point by mentioning virtual machine support and all those things, right? Then recording is also good. Then it should allow some kind of database testing. Let's say if I want to test
Hmm.
or automate something feature, that is, I want to see whether the entries in the database are going or not, and all those database table is getting updated, crude features, create, rename, and all those things should be supported. Okay, right.
Rakesh, like for doing backend testing or mostly for a database related kind of testing, we are using Kibana. Like
Kibana, yes.
Kibana, right? Kibana will basically give us like what kind of request we'll be getting by the customer side and what kind of response you're getting
Mm-hmm.
for giving a particular input. Then we can consider from that visualization and dashboards. We are using Kibana for particular this thing.
Perfect.
Yep. That's why we are not need any kind of backend automation testing yet in
Mhm.
our platform.
So let's say if you have to automate the basic login page in a web application. So what all things or what
Web.
all test scenarios you'll include in the automation script?
Okay. Let me take some positive and negative kind of test cases.
Okay.
First of all, like all the button is functional or not. Like whenever we are giving a username, then it should be taken or not. A
Mhm.
password which we are getting a by default password for login, it's working or not. Then I also check that either like equivalence class partition. I'm basically testing like whatever the functional requirement document say that like minimum input be required for creating a username. That like that kind of barrier basically using or not, like negative test cases and positive test cases, like in the login functionality I would say that. And the API path which will be going on click of that button of login, it's using or diverting on the next page or not, using Postman or also using console. If you are using staging environment, we can test that. And what kind of data will be going on particular click will be taken by the local storage of our Google Chrome,
Right. Right.
if you are talking about web.
Mm-hmm. Correct. Okay. Yeah. So these are good cases, like positive also you covered, negative also you covered. Now,
Right.
there can be one more test case. Let's say if you are trying to log in with some
Hmm.
proper username, valid username and password. Okay.
Got
Now,
it.
the
Got it.
request before being going to the server, from client to
Got it.
server, you are,
Huh.
I would say you are playing with the request. You will hack that request using Fiddler. You can do man in the middle attack. This is a kind of a security testing. What we would do,
How can I do that? Like,
yeah. So what we can do is we can actually install Fiddler in the machine, and we can
Fiddler.
capture that particular request, and we will
Okay.
change the username and password from valid to invalid, and then we will see whether the server side validation is happening or not. So that is a kind of security testing, man in the middle attack. Like, let's say if sometimes the hackers are trying to hack this application, so is it vulnerable
For
on
getting the API's endpoints, right?
right API
But in
endpoints? You can
like,
test.
I can tell you like one practical scenario. Like we have some features for a reward kind of thing.
Hmm.
Like whenever a new person will be onboarding on our application, it get 3 to 4 rupees. Then I don't know like where from the hackers get the API endpoint, and they are taking 15,000, 20,000 in the night. They are mining that money. Then we can do a solution. We get one solution like whenever the request will be coming from the front end side,
Front.
it generates some like some code, basically like 1 2 3, and if that code will match with the particular API, then it will be successful. Otherwise, it will be going on unsuccessful kind of it.
Mhm.
Then this scenario we are building after that particular scenario.
Right, right,
This we are integrating.
right. So, these scenarios are very good if you are testing into the environment, because ultimately, see, the the technology wise where the world is progressing, at the same time we have got risk also over there. So it is good from a
Definitely,
tester's perspective if you are taking care of all these points.
definitely.
Have you heard about Cucumber?
Yes, but I have not working on that cucumber yet. But you can please tell me, like, I'm very excited to know about the cucumber, like what kind of operation we are performing, like why we are, want to use cucumber.
Right, right. So generally, Cucumber is nothing but it is an open source testing tool that will allow you to write the test, into the, you can use Eclipse or you can use IntelliJ as well. And the beauty of Cucumber is that it will allow you to write the test in a very plain language with the keywords
It's
like
ID.
given, when, then.
It's ID.
Sorry,
It's ID.
ID?
Cucumber is a ID or matlab kind of.
No, 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 no. No, it's an open source testing tool. Yeah.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, yeah. So basically, what happens is generally in the automation framework in Selenium with TestNG, we are writing code
Mhm.
in Java or Python language, or in C Sharp or
Right.
.NET, whichever language we use. Now, if business analyst or a program
Hmm.
manager or product manager, these non-technical people have to see the code of the automation. If they want to review, then they need a tester particularly to help them understand which are the various cases that they are covering. But the beauty of Cucumber is that you can write the test cases in a very plain, simple language with the help of some keywords like given, when, then. So it is basically more of a behavior driven development tool, I would say.